Welcome everybody. This is the State and Regional IP Alliance. We're going to tell you, we're going to get started here. My name is
Scott's about to get commanding right here.
Oh yeah, here.
Hello, the next panel is ready to start.
Okay.
We'll let them talk over us.
Yeah, right.
Just
All right.
protect Sam.
All right. So this is the most important panel, so I think you need to listen. This is where the work gets done. This is where the work gets done. All right, I'm Sam Zellner. I'm the co-chair of the Liaison Committee of the USIPA. Zach?
Zach Tutino, one of the co-chairs of the State Committee at the USIPA.
Okay. All right. Is that better? Perfect. Okay. So let's get started here. So I want to first say a thank you to the awareness group of the USIPA. That survey was a great lead for us. Just shows you how much understanding there is of IP. And also I'd like to thank Scott and Kathy for explaining that it's about people locally implementing and understanding these programs. That's what it's about, and that's why these people are so important here. We are trying to get the great ideas, the great programs, the great strategies of the USIPA implemented on the local level. And you're going to hear today how these people are working to make that happen. But I'm going to tell you, just like in college, when the professor came up and said, I'm going to give a little talk here, and the professor would say, oh, by the way, there's going to be an exam at the end of this, and it's going to be on this, and everybody, well, there's going to be a call to action here. We want you involved. This is not, let's listen to what these people are doing. No, this is about you getting involved and you helping at the local level, too. We need everybody involved. So that's just a key piece here. Again, we have the three pillars that generally the states are, that's their strategy. It's supporting the USIPA. They will sort of customize it a little bit to their local environment, their local priorities, their local organizations and all. So there's going to be a little bit of changes here, but generally this is what they're about, the three pillars. And that's how they're going to function. So that's where we're at. I want to talk about how we've used a little creativity here. And I thank Scott and the rest of the USIPA board to recognize that we started off with a big bar asking each of the organizations to form a nonprofit and do a lot of different things there. And we heard, some were able to do that, but in terms of speed and getting things going, we realized it was just too much of a lift. And so we've adjusted, and I think the adjustment has worked very well. We've, in the last half of this year has just really been moving quickly in terms of getting additional states. So what we have is a charter state alliance, as you can see in the column here, and then we have a subchapter. And basically what we do with the subchapter is that the USIPA provides you a website to get you started. We know that that's a lot of work. We provide you social media to get the message out. So basically, we're providing you all the structure here so that you can focus on getting board members and getting programs going. And we also use the USIPA's nonprofit status to take donations. So that can come in so you can start raising money, and that doesn't become a barrier. So for those who we'll show you later on, don't see your state up here, know that we've made it very easy for you to get a state's IPA going, and we will help you get it set up. Okay, let's show you how we almost have 20 states represented here. And again, it's a mixture of states, and we also have regions. There's certain cases in New England where Zach is working here. There's a lot of interaction among the states, and we recognize that, and we're open to having regional IPAs too. So we're going to go through now, having each of the states here talk about what they're doing. I say each of the states. There's going to be representative states in the different stages. And Zach, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, we thought it was really important not to sit up here and preach and talk about what we're doing as a state committee, but really bring the people who are, have taken the call to action seriously, are at the ground level, working to get their state IP alliances running. And we're going to talk about it in a couple different steps. So we have those states that are crawling, so the ones that are just getting going. We've got those walking states, and then we've got the states that are really running and have picked up steam quickly or been well established. So you can see a bunch of the people that we have as state IP participants and leaders. And again, this is going to be our panel group. We encourage you to come up and speak to them about their experiences getting them running later tonight. They've been just incredible for taking on this challenge, really. So we're going to start with the crawling states. Eric from California, Brian from Texas. These are the states that are really just getting up and running. They've made good progress. And we're just going to do kind of a fireside chat or a round table here. Just to get started, Eric and Brian, what have been the greatest challenges to getting up and running for your teams?
Well, I guess for Texas, we were probably the one that's just up and running, probably less than 2 weeks old at this point, finally off the ground with our website launched. For us, the hardest part really was recruiting people to build momentum to get it off the ground. It takes a lot of effort to convince, folks that are, not used to hearing about the full IP ecosystem to get their mind wrapped around it and to fully explain to them how the IPAs themselves are very different than the existing organizations. So you have to go through and convince all these folks that are participating in these other organizations that you're not going to step on their toes. And that actually takes a lot of effort because you want them as partners as you go through to build this out. So for us, it really was a significant amount of time that we had to spend recruiting folks and educating folks on what we were going to be about just to get enough members to be on the board and to get us launched.
So for California, similar issue. I think that what Sam spoke about with the US IPA kind of taking over certain pieces, that there were kind of fits and starts. And where do we focus? Do we focus on getting the 501c3 filing out? And if that's going to take 6 months, at what point do we start going out there and recruiting people for an entity that hasn't been approved yet? And so, it was kind of where do we put that focus? We held off on probably recruiting, and really the reality is that was the first thing that we should have done. It was a lot of, I felt like I was doing door-to-door sales to a certain extent, that you're knocking on a lot of doors. Some people are answering, some people aren't, some people are giving you polite no's, and other people are saying yes. And you've got to keep knocking on the doors until you get those yeses. And we finally got over that hurdle, I would say, within the last several weeks to a month, and getting that initial core of 5 people that were really excited when they said it, when started talking about this. So that then gives you the energy to go out and knock on some more doors and work up to the 50 to 100 people that Scott says that we need to have on our board. But I'll admit, when I first heard Scott speak about this and got involved, I had no idea how many people we were supposed to have. And then we started having the monthly calls with the US IP Alliance, and I heard the number of 100 board members come out, and I'm thinking, are you kidding me? We have 2 people right now. Like, how am I going to scale this to 100? So I think some of the fits and starts that we saw were to be expected. That this is something that's been moving very quickly, dynamically, and they're trying to scale it from going from the Georgia IP Alliance, which took 20 years. The US IP Alliance has been much quicker, but now we're trying to take it to 50 other states, and it's going to take some time. And that's something that I sometimes have to remind myself as well.
And like Eric said, one of the key things I think is with the US IP Alliance's new subchapter, that takes a lot of the paperwork away to get you off the ground. That was a significant assistance in removing that lifting of the paperwork and the legal requirements you have to get a 501c3 organization off the ground. So that actually sped things up drastically.
That's great. Thank you. And so one of the things we're here to do really at the US IPA level and the state IPA level is make an impact, right, locally. What are the things, Eric and Brian, what are the places where you think that your organizations can make that local impact?
California is obviously a very diverse state. We're a very large state. I was recently reminded of that as I drove my son to the farthest most college in Northern California, living in San Diego. So it took us almost 13 hours to get there, 2 days. And we have a lot, I mean, there are, you have the Silicon Valley area, there's a very active chapter of LESS. San Diego, we have we have companies that are very active in licensing. We have a great biopharma group. LA, lots of stuff going on there. We have an 11 campus system with the UC that is the largest academic filer in the world for patents. And I think we need to, for California, where I'm hoping to have an impact is kind of the network of network that Jim Malachowski came up with, that I want to see us bringing these networks together, because there's a lot of disparate layers and a lot of people working on the same problem but working on it in different capacities. And if we can kind of harness that, I mean, California's sort of we're a powerhouse in terms of an economy anyways. I mean, there's more that can be unleashed, and that's something that I'd like to see done.
I'm beginning to see why they put us together, because Texas, like California, is a giant state. It wasn't me. Thanks. And like California, Texas has certain centers. You've got, Dallas and Austin and Houston and several other areas that are more advanced and drive the Texas economy a lot more than the other cities within the state. One of our focuses is going to be, like Eric said, is creating the networks of the networks, and linking those cities, those high-tech centers together in order to build out, and try to empower the economy and the innovation kind of within the state. But also then, once you have those networks created, then to reach out to the underrepresented regions that don't have the innovation centers and the businesses that could additionally drive innovation, and especially jumping into the education for those underrepresented areas. We think that that's going to be a critical feature for us.
I agree with Brian just said, and it was a point that I wanted to make. Like California, you do have Silicon Valley, you have Southern California, they're powerhouses in tech and biopharma. But we also have areas like the Central Coast. You have a city like San Luis Obispo, Cal Poly's there. Is anybody familiar with guayaki? It's a canned drink made yerba mate, and it came out of San Luis Obispo. And I'm sure everybody here is familiar with Sonos. Mm-hmm. Sonos was a startup out of Santa Barbara, and Santa Barbara is not someplace that you automatically think about when you think of tech. The first credit card actually came out of Fresno. It was B of A, but it was 1958 when they unleashed it. And the Central Valley, I mean, I think of the Central Valley as agriculture, and I see it as potentially an agri-tech sort of area, but I would not have thought of it as being an area where financial innovation was being introduced at such an early stage.
Great, thank you guys. I'm going to jump over to the Walkers here, and Sam's going to be our representative from Illinois here. The first question really for our Walkers, and congratulations, by the way, on Maurizio for getting Washington launched in the past couple of weeks here. Phenomenal with some great events. What were the keys to getting your first program or two going?
Yeah, thanks. Happy to be here. Super excited to see this energy. For us, it's four things that I would answer. And first is I have a co-chair, Andy Salvador, who couldn't be here today. I wouldn't be here without him. I mean, he and I really help each other out, and we really have a core team. And I think that's the key. We learned early on from Illinois and GIPA as well. Like you have this core team. You meet once a week. You have hard deadlines. It's 4:30 to 5. At 5, we just stop. right? And so that way you just go and you just carry things over. But it allows us, because especially with the formation, the paperwork, the thing, it took a long time. We kind of troughed through these things almost 6 months with all the paperwork and formation. So we were kind of submarining almost the entire year until we could finally emerge with our first event. But it was just great because we just met and like we took care of what we could take care of, and then we just moved on to the next week, and we just kept going along the way. And the second point is really we had flexibility. People are busy, we had target dates for certain things and we just couldn't get to it, and we just adjusted and we didn't kind of fall apart because of that. And that actually made it really easy because at that point we just said, we're moving towards a target, we continue to make progress, but we have the flexibility because this university can't meet on the days we want, or we can't host the event at this particular venue, and it's not the end of the world, you just keep moving forward. And I think that's always what we found. Kind of the third key is we finally did pick a date, and we were very thankful. We petitioned the governor of Washington. We followed GIPA's example, and he was able to declare October as Washington IP month, and that kind of committed us, right? Because if we're going to have an IP month, this is where we go public. And so at that point, that locked us in, and we just said, now it's time, full court press. We're going public with this organization that we've been working on for 8 months. And so when we had our first event last Monday, or 3 days ago, it was a great event. We have the next one with the University of Washington next week, and we're just kind of rallying around IP month. And it doesn't have to be that, but just pick that, and then all of a sudden, events come out. And I think that was a key for us, is to kind of hinge on that and then just move forward.
Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Sam, for the Illinois team, what do you think were the first? What was the keys to get those first couple programs going?
So with Illinois, we're sort of a unique situation here because we actually evolved out of a Chicago IP organization that was sort of dying out. And so we picked up that effort and said, hey, let's make this a statewide effort. And if you know Chicago a little bit, they used to have a campaign in Illinois that said, just outside Chicago, there's a place called Illinois. And I think it was representative of how everything's focused on Chicago, and that actually once you branch out, guess what? There's a lot of IP going on throughout the state. And so when we started telling people, hey, we're not just Chicago anymore, we're the whole state, it really, it resonated very well. A lot of people were like, hey, Champaign and the University of Illinois was like, hey, yeah, we're here, we're doing a lot of, and there was so a lot of people rallied behind us. So that was one big piece. Another thing we did that I thought was very unique was we took opportunities to highlight companies within Illinois that are doing neat things with IP. And that was just a great opportunity to sort of give back. These companies obviously want a little PR, and we're giving them some good PR. And obviously, a lot of people are trying to find clients, and so so that was another thing we did, which I thought worked well. And then, the thing that always helps is liquor, right? And so we had get-togethers, at breweries and things like that, and that was, big surprise. That was something very popular. And on a serious level, a lot of people want to do networking. They don't want to hear technical talks. They just want to do networking, and this is a basic function we can provide.
Fantastic. So now that our walkers have some momentum, right? What are you most excited about going forward?
Sure. I'll start. Again, like I said, you're working throughout the state, and we're finding out that there's a lot of programs we weren't aware of, and bringing them under the umbrella. And this concept of, hey, let's all work together and expand your program. Let's publicize your program. Let's help you make your program better and better. So that's one of the things we're excited about. We're also excited about the fact that, and kudos to Suzanne and Alan, for letting us participate in their D&I effort. That was a great opportunity last summer. So we're looking forward to having opportunities to partner up with the US IPA and actually with other states and doing things jointly.
For our perspective, what's interesting is because we just started our kind of first two public events, we've put a social media splash. We've reached out to most of the corporations in Washington, most of the law firms. So we have their attention. And what really presents us now is that we have to evangelize, right? This is our opportunity to say, hey, we wanted you to come to this event, and that's great if you come, but more importantly, we want you to get involved with Washington IPA. And so right now we're at that cusp of evangelizing, and something Director Vidal said today is like, we need to expand that hallway when we roll down the ball down the hallway. And now is the time. We've just been limited to our core team. It's really to expand that team and really get all these great individuals who, if we do it right, and we don't have to sell the organization, we just got to tell them about it and they'll sign up. And then we're going to just tap into that and really expand, I think, what we're doing in Washington at a much greater level than what we've been able to accomplish with just 5 individuals.
Fantastic. Now I'm going to move on to our runners, the quick movers over there. And again, DJ, incredibly impressed with what you guys have done in Ohio within a year. Unbelievable. You're already a runner, Kareen. Obviously, what Georgia has done is amazing. So tell us, where have you made the biggest impact so far in your community?
Yeah, so thank you for graduating us to runner. I don't know whether we are or not, but I will tell you, I lived in Lincoln, Nebraska for 15 years, and you live in the heartland, and you recognize you have more similarities with Finland than you have with California, okay? So in many ways, and I say that a little tongue-in-cheek, but Ohio, we are very fortunate to have companies like Intel committing $100 billion in investment. Honda is huge. And the town that I live in, Dublin, Ohio, we have 18.5% diverse population now, and that's the fastest growing population that is not represented in many of the committees and boards and advisory boards and so on and so forth. So the playbook that the US IPA provided to us was incredibly helpful. The mission, vision, the pillars were all defined. So as an entrepreneur, it was like, what is the tactic? Well, the tactic in Ohio, if you haven't been there, you got to connect the 3 C's. The 3 C's don't play ball together a lot of times. So Columbus, Cleveland, and Cincinnati, if you can connect those dots, then half the battle is won. That's exactly what we did. We have a board which is incredibly diverse. The board members on the OHIPA, site, you should go take a look at it. We recently launched a fresh website to portray all of our members, board members, and that was also one of the very crucial things. So, we looked at the pillars and said, look, we can't focus on everything. As a startup, what do? We focused on education is a key pillar for us. Diversity, equity, inclusion is an incredibly important pillar for us. And thanks again to Suzanne and her team. We were very inspired by the session that was actually shared with Alan and Susan sharing that. That inspired a lot of our members. So I guess, it was really the inspiration that we got. And I can't thank Sam and Zach and Barry enough for getting us off the ground. So thank you. And we are now, a small startup looking to survive, raising money, and trying to sell every day. So that's kind of where we are.
Fantastic. Georgia, we know you've got some stories for us. So where have you feel that you've made the biggest impact in your community here in Georgia?
Well, definitely, I'd start out with IP Month. Getting a proclamation from the governor of the state gives us visibility, it gives us credibility, and it allows us to have an event just like this to welcome you all to our state. If you look at the programs that are most impactful, they're also the ones in your second question that have been the most successful. And picking out top successful programs is probably like picking your favorite child. And so I would invite you to download our first-of-a-kind GIPA annual report. Just go on our website and you can download it. And we've had probably in 2021 approximately 25 different initiatives, and some of them have multiple events. And so any one day you're getting an email saying, don't forget to register, or here's an opportunity, invite people to participate. This all being said, I believe the success of our organization and the impact that we have is the organization. Having leadership that has a vision and a mission, a sense of purpose, urgency, and passion. And I know that USIPA, they have 100 board members. We've got about 90 plus or minus. And you don't really make decisions quickly when you have a large board and when you have to wait each quarter to make key decisions. And so we structured ourselves to have a cabinet. And basically that cabinet includes governance and operations. It also includes our pillar leads, our vice chairs. So we've got finance and our secretary, our fundraising group, marketing, outreach, the 3 pillar leads, myself and Scott. And so that team meets on a regular basis, and we look at the opportunities that are before us, we prioritize. We also express our concerns and ensure that we address them before they become issues. And so what this has done is really engaged us as a team. We don't always agree, but we always believe that the outcome of our discussions and our diverse opinions and perceptions ends out with a better outcome. So I think the organization, definitely what it's done for us, I come from a Fortune 500 company where our main competency was control. And so I certainly have evolved to understand that flexibility is key, but it's also the type of people that you have, and we really have, I think, embraced the fact that we're no longer just an organization, we are a movement. And I think this event today helps to demonstrate that.
Fantastic. Now, are there any particular events or programs that you have found incredibly successful? Obviously, the proclamation of October being IP month is phenomenal. Are there any particular programs, individual programs, that you think have been incredibly successful from a awareness or a fundraising standpoint that the other states could actually learn from?
Well, definitely, if you look at the proclamation, economic development is important, jobs are important. And so I would point to our job fair and Sam Mullman. I don't know if he's here, but he does an incredible job. And basically it gives us some income, but it also goes beyond the teaching to the connecting professional individuals with the employers. And so that's where we see impact, we see real results, people getting jobs in our industry.
Fantastic. DJ, how about your team? What do you think from a program standpoint? I know you've only had a couple so far and you're just running now, but what's been some of those successful programs in Ohio?
I think we picked up on the round tables, and that was a brilliant suggestion. So what's happening in sort of the networking side of things, I can give specific examples. We hosted our meeting at Cardinal Health, and people got to see what Cardinal does as a massive healthcare organization, and they started learning about each other, and so they are connecting themselves, and there's business happening. So I think the roundtables focused on specific topics like data licensing, which was our topic at Cardinal Health at the board meeting. The micro events are very, very valuable. And given the geography, we have to be a little cognizant of that not everyone is going to be able to come and join physically. So it's okay to do hybrid today. And that independence, I think, is helpful.
That's great. And I'm glad we brought up, too, Sam and the job fair, because we've been speaking to Sam, and that's actually one thing that we're going to work to bring that program to the rest of the states and make the connection so that we can continue to kind of grow this IP community, connect those interested with jobs, and also work on the other end from the IP education and awareness side so people understand that there are careers available in intellectual property. These next two questions, we're going to try and take them fairly quick and just go down the line here. 2023, unbelievably 2022 is coming to an end here soon. 2023, as we're going into it, what's your main focus going forward?
Just go to
Okay, sorry. Thinking we were starting that entire, thinking we did. So for Illinois, we started out during the pandemic and we had a lot of traction. And then after the pandemic, a lot of people got busy. So we sort of fell off a little bit in terms of participation. So next year, we want to sort of ramp up the excitement and expand out as we were talking about the board and get much more activity going on. So that's going to be a key thing for us.
This mic, we need a new mic, by the way, so next year. So for Texas for 2023, we want to get meaningfully off the ground, and we'd like to get to walking and maybe trotting. I don't know if we're going to get to full running by the end of next year, but one of the big initiatives will be to grow membership, and then to get some programs launched for the year. And I think focusing on just those couple of things will allow us to be successful.
I would agree. It's pretty much the same goals for California. Grow the board, get those first events off the ground, and grow membership beyond the board as well.
For Washington, two things. One, we want to get into a rhythm. We've made a big splash and get to that rhythm so that people kind of see that repetition that we're here, we're going to be here to stay, we're going to continue along this path. But I'm super excited. We have a fairly big event in January 2023. It's going to be a diversity event. Hopefully be hosted at the Amazon Spheres. We'll have PTAB judges, TTAB judges. We'll do a separate event for our law students so they can meet the judges, and then do a corporate event to kind of hit all three pillars with this. So we're putting a ton of energy into that, and hopefully that's something that'll be successful, and that will really drive our event moving forward. So a lot of energy, fingers crossed it can happen, but I think that's going to be what we're looking forward to.
Great.
Yeah, just adding to that, the three things important for us: recruitment, and recruitment. So board members, and basically ecosystem partners, that's really what we're looking to recruit and kind of grow and have, hopefully large events like others.
Following the last presentation, D&I is on top of our list. Basically, we have a program plan that every board member will be required to take D&I training. That plus, I would say communications. I was interested in the results of the survey, that people don't always know the impact of IP. And we spend a lot of time planning and executing and networking. But after the fact, so what and who cares? And it's up to us to demonstrate and to say, so what and who cares? And so definitely we want to do more in terms of communicating impact.
Scott's giving me a 1 minute time, but I know I have 2 minutes, Scott. So
You don't have a 2 minutes.
Just real quick, sorry. For our D&I, and I want to suggest, when we came up with this, we put a call to Ken's organization at ADAPT and said, hey, by the way, we're just this know-nothing state organization, but we've got this great vision. Can you help us? And they immediately jumped in. They're going to help us promote it. And my reason is, sometimes you just got to ask for that little bit of help. And even if you are a small state organization, people are willing to lend. And we're super happy that ADAPT's going to be part of us. They're a new organization, but they're just helping us out. So that's fantastic.
awesome. Yeah, and our last one is, we have a lot of people in this room from all over the place. I know what my call to action for this room is going to be, but what is your call to action, and what support are you looking for the people in this room and the US IPA? We can start at the other end and move down so Sam doesn't feel the pressure.
Continue this communications. I think it's very valuable. I would say one additional one, and that is focused on creators. We don't have anything unless we have inventors, and so I was really impressed to have at least two people today, Jamie and Walter, represent the creator part of the ecosystem.
Identify one board member for the Ohio IP Alliance, be it Kroger, Procter & Gamble, P&G, any of those companies, and that would be immensely helpful.
Same, if you have contacts, friends in Washington, or want to participate, they don't have to even be from Washington, send them to Andy and I. We're happy to use them.
I think the monthly meetings with the US IP Alliance have been invaluable. They've given me the opportunity to learn about how to get this set up and hear from other people's experience. It's also kind of helped with the creative, energy that you need to go through and set this process up. And the other thing I would say keep those in place. Those have been great. The other thing I'd say is that I think what Scott and the Georgia IP Alliance have done is you've created this great collaborative ecosystem. And I think it goes beyond that, that there's also a sense of community. And I think powerful things can be done when you have a community that has a sense of purpose.
One of our calls to action will be, anybody here wants to be a member of Texas IPA Alliance, reach out. We've got plenty of membership and board opportunities, so please come and join us. But one of the other things I think is going to be critically important is for all of the state IPAs to begin communicating amongst each other and the existing board members and the chairs of those boards to learn what everybody's doing and see what we can do to partner together.
Shorten the cycles.
Correct.
Yeah, and so as we wrap up, again, I think I really need to emphasize, we want everyone here to really, if you don't have a local or regional state alliance, please contact us and give us suggestions on who can get it started. If you do, please join. You don't have to be an active board member, but at least be a member. And last but not least, I would like those people, if you are on a state board, to just stand up, because you deserve the round of applause here to wrap us up here.
And I'd just like to just mention that we have Daryl right here. Daryl, Pennsylvania, if you're interested in Pennsylvania. Caroline, Kentucky. Cindy, Oklahoma. And Oklahoma's doing some great things. Kevin, Hawaii. Now, I don't want to see the whole room move over to Hawaii. and then also, I would mention that you don't have to live in the state to be a part of the state IPA. If you're doing business or you're just interested, that's okay. So,
And come see me for New England.
yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.